Hello, this is Mike at GameFromScratch, and welcome back to the ongoing GameDev Toolbox series. This is a look at the tools, essential tools for game developers, for the programmers, the artists, the musicians, you name it. The whole pipeline, we're looking at the essential tools for all of them. And today what we're looking at is a tool called SunVox. Now, SunVox is something called a mod tracker, or you can think of it as a music sequencer. It's a way of creating music. Either you can hook up your keyboard and bring it in MIDI-wise, or you can create it internally, or you can do it algorithmically. And I have to start with a confession right up front. I suck at audio stuff. I'm tone deaf, so I never really bothered learning this stuff that well. So I'm mostly just aware of this program. I'm by no means competent in it. I just want you to be aware of that fact right up front. You're not going to learn much about this program other than that it exists. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's jump right in. Now, there's a number of these mod tracker type programmers available. They started way back, I think in the Amiga days. And it's basically a way of representing music algorithmically. You set a bunch of notes and programs and scores. You set up samples, which are like little recordings of what a video or an instrument should sound like, and it plays that note in that instrument. Very simple version of what's going on here. Now, what we're looking at today is called SunVox, and there are a number of other options, but SunVox is a great choice because, number one, except for on iOS and Android, it's completely free, and on those two platforms, it's something like $6. So definitely an accessible program for everybody. It's available at warmplace.ru. I'll link that down below when I'm done. And this is it. Very interesting user interface. It takes a bit to get used to for sure, and there is a lot to go on here. Now, once again, I have no idea what I'm doing here. This would be like me jumping into a 3D Studios Max with never having done any 3D before. So again, don't expect a whole lot of knowledge out of this lesson. But if you need to create soundtracks for your game, this is a great potential way. Now, here you've got a couple of things. Up here you've got like a keyboard with 4 tracks of music going on. Down here you've got basically your timeline where you can, repeat different tracks, well, their terminology is patterns. And you see here we got one simple pattern. Now, I'm going to do a very simple song here. What we do is create actually no, if I just record, it will create a new pattern for me. So I'm going to just record on the keyboard here. Record, no, it won't create one for me. Okay, so new pattern, there we've got it right here. I'm just going to record over time. And you'll see it starts going down in time here. And now I didn't actually record anything, so we didn't get anything. But you'll see there's 31 notes in sequence by default. And we can go ahead and change this. We can edit the pattern and make it longer, shorter, whatever we want. But I'm just going to go ahead with their simple 32-note version. And so here in number 1, and we're in track 1 of it. I'm just going to go in here, hold down, click here, hold down space bar, and click a note. So you see we just hooked a note up there. And we'll come down a little bit more. Different note, a little bit more, different note, a little bit more. Come on, interface. There. So you see we've got a sequence of notes now over our timeline. And that timeline across this way is the same as this timeline across this way. You're looking at 2 views of the same thing. And we can switch the octave up for our sound right here as we were going. So now you can see we've got down here a list of modules. Now modules are basically, it's a flow graph of how our sound is generated. And we've got an output. So now we need to actually take and do something with this. So we're going to go ahead and do a new input, and we'll make it a sampler. Now, as I said earlier, a sampler is basically you can hook up a sound and that sound's going to play according to these particular notes. And now that it's open, let me scroll this down a little bit. Let's load a note for it. Come on. There, cowbell. And now, holding down Shift, I just drag a line between these two things, and we press play. And you can hear each note as it goes through ticks. Now, I did possibly the most incredibly boring sound you could do, but you get the gist of what's going on here. Now, we can do a couple more things here. We can come in here, for example, and set up an echo. So, shift drag through, and then and there you kind of got a gist of how you start putting all of these sounds together to create your song. Now, down here, we've created a pattern. It's this particular sequence. Now, if we want to have another one, we can come up here and just basically go, all right, copy, all right, paste. So now you'll see we have, here, stuff playing. All right. There. So now I have 3 versions of this particular pattern going. Now you'll notice it's just represented with this graphical icon. You can go ahead and change that if you want. I know if you click here, it brings up the editor. So you could have this as whatever you wanted. You could just make it text if you wanted, if it made more sense to you. But this is just going to represent, you know, the music that's playing or whatever you're working with. And this is how you compose your sequence over time, your song over time. So now you'll see we've got multiple different iterations of this guy going. Now we could add another one here. So let's go in here and just go new module, new input, and we'll bring in a tonal generator. Generator should, come on. So there you're seeing our generator. Here, I'll turn that down so I don't hurt you with my awful music. And we can play around with that generator so we could have its waveform be a different form, such as saw, square wave, noise. We can lower the volume down. We can change the cycle on it, etc. And that's basically what you do. You build up all of your sounds this way. Here, let me just get rid of this for a second. I'll show you one more thing before I move on and show you a good actual song. So now I'm going to come in here, create a new module. I'm actually going to load one instead. There's a ton of them that ship. So here you see like the bass. We've got all these. So there's a bass. Hook it up. And you can change the playback rate. This is beats per minute, or here, let me just resize that a bit. Ticks per line. So how many music ticks, or you know, like on a metronome, so a quarter note, etc., are performed as it's playing. So we can come in here and slow it way down, or why are you not affecting it? Anyways, your settings are over here for it, and really all you're doing is you're creating this flow graph of events. So we can come in here, put modifiers in there, or we put a loop in, which doesn't do a hell of a lot. Now let me go ahead and actually open one of their projects, such as this one. And here you can see a more fleshed out, developed song. You can see all of these different patterns go together to actually create the song. Let me just drag this over here. So you can see across the timeline, I don't know what I'm doing to it, but you can see all of the various different, and they'll change up here. So a different sequence of notes for each different pattern. Some of these are going to be copied and pasted, etc. And then here you can see the generator that goes together to create everything. And we'll go ahead and play this demo instead. And there you can give you an idea of what you can actually create using SunVox. Now you'll notice as the song's playing, it's tracking across this way. So some new sound's going to kick in at this point in time. You're going to hear it right now. And you can see the waveform effect in all the previews across the module graph. And that's essentially it. That is how this works. I am 100% overwhelmingly completely incompetent about actually using this program, not an audio guy. So once again, let me put that disclaimer in there. I am definitely not an audio guy. But if you are looking for a way to generate music, you like this kind of sound, it's definitely the mod tracker approach. If SunVox doesn't do it for you, there are a number of other options out there. Just search for mod tracker and you'll find dozens of them. But like I said, SunVox is completely free. The user interface is actually not that bad once you get used to it. It's so incredibly cross-platform. It's available just about everywhere. So if you're looking at getting into audio, this is definitely one of those programs you should check out. Hope you enjoyed that. See y'all later. Bye.